My beloved child, you just saw 1111, and that was not by chance. In the angelic language of heaven, in the sacred numeric patterns that I use to speak through the fabric of your daily life, 1111 is one of the most significant signals I send. It is the signal of alignment, of divine gate opening, of the moment when heaven and earth are in perfect sync for the release of something that has been building in the spiritual realm and is now ready to break through into the natural. And what is breaking through right now, at this 1111 moment, at this specific alignment that led you to this message at this specific time, is a $800,000 heavenly deposit and the keys to a new house. Stop scrolling. Feel what your spirit just felt when you read those words. That stirring, that quickening, that combination of, is this real? And somehow I already know it is. That is the confirmation of the Spirit of God witnessing to your spirit that what I am saying is true. I do not waste 1111 signals. I do not send angelic numeric messages for things that are not real or not immediate. When 1111 appears in your life and your eyes are led to a message like this one, heaven is speaking, and heaven is saying, this is your moment. The heavenly deposit of $800,000 is prepared. Your new house is assigned. The window of 1111 alignment is open right now. And the only question is whether you will receive, declare, and engage, or whether you will scroll past and let the moment close. The meaning of 1111 and why it appeared to you. My beloved child, let me explain the specific spiritual significance of the 1111 signal so that you understand what heaven has been communicating and why I chose this moment and this signal for this specific revelation. In the divine numeric language that I use throughout Scripture and throughout the created order, the number 1 is the number of beginnings, of first things, of origin, of the source from which all things flow. It is the number associated with my own nature as the first and the last, the Alpha and the Omega, the one who is and was and is to come. When you see a single one, it is a whisper of divine presence, a reminder that I am. When 4 ones align, 1111, it is not merely a repetition. It is an amplification, a convergence, a stacking of divine emphasis that communicates. This is a moment of first things, of new beginnings, of divine origin. 1111 is the signal of a threshold, a portal moment in which what was in the previous season ends and what is in the new season begins. It is the numeric language of a gate opening. Specifically, 1111 is associated with the alignment of your prayers, your faith, and your destiny. When you see 1111, it means that the spiritual forces aligned with your purpose and provision are in perfect formation, that the angels assigned to your inheritance are in position, that the decree from my throne has been issued, and that the only thing needed for the blessing to cross from the heavenly realm into the natural is the activation of the heir's faith. This is precisely why I arranged for 1111 to appear to you before this message, to signal your spirit, to alert you that something significant is happening, to prepare you for the revelation you are about to receive. The 1111 was the announcement. This message is the content of what was announced. Comment now in the comments. I saw 1111. I hear heaven. I receive what has been prepared for me. Write it. Let this be your faith response to the divine signal, the declaration that you did not miss the signal, that you heard heaven's announcement, and that you are positioning yourself to receive what it announced. The $800,000 and the new house that I am announcing through the 1111 signal are not separate, unrelated blessings. They are a paired inheritance, a tandem provision that represents a comprehensive upgrading of your material life. The money is the means, the house is the destination. Together, they represent the material anchoring of the new season I have planned for you, the financial foundation and the physical home that will provide the stable launch pad from which the next chapter of your purpose unfolds. I want you to understand the precision of the $800,000 figure. This is not a random number generated for dramatic effect. It is the specific amount that in the calculation of my purposes for your life, the specific needs of the next season, the specific opportunities that await, the specific calls on your provision, represents the full, adequate, purposeful provision for what is coming. It is enough for the house. It is enough for the transition. It is enough for the seed investments that will produce the next harvest. It is the right amount, prepared with perfect knowledge of exactly what you need. The heavenly deposit, how it works. My beloved child, the phrase heavenly deposit is not merely poetic. It refers to something real in the economy of heaven. The moment when a provision that has been held in trust in the heavenly realm, assigned to a specific heir, is released and transferred into the natural realm. Understanding how this works will help you cooperate with the process rather than passively waiting. In the heavenly realm, there are divine accounts, repositories of provision that have been assigned by my decree to specific children in specific seasons. These accounts are not holding centers where provision waits for the random chance of natural circumstances to release it. They are actively managed by divine authority, and the timing of their release is governed by a specific set of spiritual conditions. The primary spiritual condition for the release of a heavenly deposit is the readiness of the heir. Readiness includes several components. The faith to believe the deposit exists and has been assigned to them. The spiritual posture of open-handed receiving rather than grasping or doubting. The alignment of their life's direction with the purposes for which the provision has been prepared, and the practical step of engaging with the process of receiving, which includes the declarations, the prayers, and the specific faith actions that open the channel. When these conditions are met, when the heir is ready, the heavenly deposit is released. It begins to move through the natural channels that I have prepared as the delivery pathway. This might be through a person who makes a decision to give. It might be through an unexpected financial opportunity. It might be through a legal release, a business breakthrough, a sudden provision from a source that was not previously on the radar. The how varies. The what, the $800,000, does not. The 1111 signal you received was the announcement that your readiness conditions are being met, that the alignment is happening, that the release window is open, and this message is the invitation to cross the threshold from waiting to receiving, from the pre-release state to the state of active reception. Comment now. My heavenly account is prepared and the deposit is being released now. Write it. This is not arrogance. It is covenant language. The declaration of an heir who knows the account exists and is claiming their access to it. I have placed a specific guide in the first pinned comment to help you navigate the heavenly deposit process with complete spiritual understanding. The code of divine inheritance, how to activate the abundance that is already yours, is prepared and waiting for you there. It contains the specific activation strategies, prayer frameworks, and faith declarations that correspond to exactly this kind of heavenly provision release. The large sum, destiny-enabling deposit that heaven prepares for its heirs at key moments in their journey. Go to the first pinned comment and receive it now. It was set apart before you arrived. It is yours. B. The new house, why you receive both. My beloved child, I want to speak about why the new house and the $800,000 are paired together. Why the announcement of 1111 carries both a financial deposit and a new dwelling place in the same package. In my economy, provision is comprehensive. I do not address one dimension of your material life while leaving others unaddressed. When I move to upgrade the material circumstances of a covenant child, I move across the board. I am not a god of isolated improvements, of partial upgrades, of meeting one pressing need while leaving the related needs unmet. When I release provision, I release it comprehensively. Your need for a home and your need for significant financial provision are not two separate needs. They are deeply connected. The financial provision is, in part, what enables the housing provision. The $800,000 is not all earmarked for the house. It is a broader provision that includes the means to secure, furnish, maintain, and enjoy the new house as part of its scope. This is integrated provision. This is the kind of comprehensive upgrading that I release when a covenant heir reaches the threshold moment of their inheritance. The new house also represents something specific about the season you are entering. Every significant transitional moment in my children's lives is often accompanied by a change of address. a movement from one dwelling to another that mirrors and enables the spiritual transition happening in their inner life and their purpose. Abraham left Ur and went to Canaan. Jacob left Laban and returned to his home. Ruth followed Naomi and found Boaz. These movements of physical home were also movements of destiny, of calling, of divine positioning. Your new house is a positioning. It is me placing you in the right location, the right community, the right space, the environment in which the next chapter of your story can unfold most fully and most fruitfully. Write in the comments, I receive both the 800K and my new house. God's provision is comprehensive and complete. Write it. Let this be your declaration that you are receiving the full inheritance, not the partial version, not the downsized version, but the complete, comprehensive provision that heaven has actually prepared. The house that is being prepared for you has qualities that are specific to your next season. It is not merely an address change. It is a home that carries an atmosphere, one that I have ordained to be a place of peace, of productivity, of spiritual vitality, of family flourishing. When you walk through the door for the first time, your spirit will recognize it. The "this is it" confirmation will come from the Spirit of God within you, bearing witness to the Spirit of God who prepared it. That recognition is not wishful thinking. It is the deep calling to the deep, the fingerprints of the Maker matching the one He made the place for. What "open before it's gone" really means, my beloved child, I must speak clearly about the phrase "open before it's gone," because the enemy will try to use it to create anxiety, and some will misread it as a manipulation tactic. I want to address it honestly and completely. Open before it's gone is not a sales technique. It is not spiritual marketing. It is a real description of a real spiritual dynamic that operates in the realm of divine timing and human faith response. Here is the truth. The 11:11 alignment window, the moment of maximum convergence between the heavenly provision and the natural realm for your specific inheritance, is not permanent. It is a window. All divinely orchestrated windows have an opening and a closing. Not because the provision is withdrawn, but because the specific pathway of minimum resistance, the specific alignment of spiritual conditions that makes the transition from heavenly deposit to natural manifestation most direct. This specific configuration does not exist indefinitely. This is not designed to threaten you. It is designed to communicate urgency without panic. The response I am asking for is not frantic anxiety. It is engaged faith. It is the decision right now to respond rather than defer, to receive rather than intellectualize, to act rather than wait. The good news: you are here, reading this message, at the moment the window is open. If you were not here before the window closed, you would not have found this message. The fact that you found this message during the 11:11 window is itself divine orchestration. Heaven arranged for the 11:11 signal, the message, and your attention to converge at the same moment. This is not coincidence. This is precision. Comment now. I am here at the right moment. I open now and receive what God has prepared. Write it. This declaration is the faith action that fully engages the opening of the window. It says to heaven, the heir has arrived, the heir is present, the heir is receiving. Release the deposit. The practical response to open before it's gone is simple and immediate. Receive the message, declare the provision, go to the first pinned comment and claim the code of divine inheritance, how to activate the abundance that is already yours, and pray the specific prayers of activation over your heavenly deposit and your new house. These actions, taken now in this window, are the faith engagement that opens the full flow of the inheritance. Do not make this harder than it is. You do not need a seminary degree. You do not need years of spiritual experience. You do not need to have all your doubts resolved before you receive. All you need is the willingness to say yes, to open your hands, your heart, and your spirit to what heaven has prepared. The spiritual enemies of your 800K and your house. My beloved child, in every significant inheritance release, there are specific spiritual forces that attempt to intercept, divert, or prevent the blessing from reaching the designated heir. I want to identify these forces and equip you to deal with them specifically. The first is the spirit of unbelief. This is different from doubt. Doubt is a question. Is this really for me? Unbelief is a conclusion. This is not for me. Unbelief is the spiritual condition that blocks the reception of blessing more effectively than any other. It is not intellectual skepticism. It is the settled assumption of lack, of exclusion, of blessings like this are for other people. In your prayers, address this directly. Spirit of unbelief, I renounce you. I refuse the conclusion that this inheritance is not for me. I choose to believe what God has said over what circumstances have suggested. I take my position as an heir and I receive. The second is the spirit of delay. This spirit specializes in extending the gap between the spiritual release and the natural manifestation, not preventing the blessing permanently, but stretching the timeline through complications, coincidences, and the interference of small obstacles that add up to significant delay. It is particularly active in financial and housing inheritances because these involve multiple people and processes, each one of which is a potential point of interference. Pray. Spirit of delay, I bind you from every aspect of the manifestation of my $800,000 and my new house. I declare supernatural acceleration. What would naturally take a year, I declare in months. What would take months, I declare in weeks. Divine timing is at work, and the enemy's interference with timing is cancelled in Jesus' name. The third is the spirit of comparison and disqualification, the one that says someone else received this kind of provision because they were more qualified, more faithful, more deserving, more spiritually mature. This spirit uses the blessings of others as evidence of your exclusion rather than as examples of what God does for His children. Rebuke it. I am not excluded from God's inheritance because of what others have received. His provision is not limited. What He has done for others is evidence of what He will do for me. I am qualified by covenant, not by merit, and no comparison disqualifies a covenant heir. Comment now. I rebuke every spiritual force against my $800K and my new house in Jesus' name. Write it. Let this declaration of spiritual warfare be accompanied by the specific prayer engagement that backs it up. And strengthen your arsenal with the gift in the first pinned comment. The Code of Divine Inheritance, how to activate the abundance that is already yours. This guide contains specific warfare prayers and faith strategies for dealing with the spirits that most commonly intercept financial and property inheritances. It is specifically designed for moments like this one. Receive it from the first pinned comment. How to honor this provision. When it arrives. My beloved child, I want to speak to you about how to honor the $800,000 and the new house when they arrive. Because the way you steward what I release to you determines whether it multiplies or diminishes, whether it serves its full purpose or is consumed by circumstances, whether it becomes a launch pad for the next level or a peak that is quickly passed. Honor it with wisdom. The first and most important response to significant provision is wise stewardship. Seek counsel. Pray specifically about every major financial decision connected to this provision. Do not rush major decisions. The enemy will try to create urgency around uses of the money that are not wise, get-rich-quick opportunities, pressure from others, impulsive emotional decisions. Counteract this by deliberately slowing down major decisions and seeking my guidance specifically. Honor it with gratitude. Every morning for the first season of receiving this provision, begin with deliberate, specific, expressed gratitude. Name what I have done. Speak it aloud. Write it down. Let the thanksgiving be proportional to the blessing, which means it should be extensive, genuine, and ongoing. Honor it with generosity. I have already spoken about the multiplication principle of giving. Let this provision be marked from the beginning by generosity, strategic, faith-filled, purpose-driven giving that plants seeds for the next harvest. Tithe first, then ask me specifically where to give and how much. Let generosity be a first principle of your stewardship rather than something that happens with leftovers. Write in the comments, I will honor this provision with wisdom, gratitude, and generosity. Let this be a vow, a declaration of the character of stewardship you commit to when the inheritance arrives. Honor it with purpose, alignment. Ask me specifically, Lord, what is this provision for? What are the uses of these resources that align most perfectly with the purposes for which you prepared it? The money and the house are not ends in themselves. They are instruments. Instruments that are used in alignment with the purpose for which they were crafted produce their maximum potential. Instruments used out of alignment with their purpose produce less than they could and sometimes cause damage. Use this provision in alignment with the specific purposes I have for it. Honor it by testifying. When this provision arrives, when the deposit is in your account, when the keys to the new house are in your hand, tell the story. Tell it to those who need to hear it. Not boastfully, but as a testimony of a God who is real, who is faithful, and who provides for his children in specific, tangible, undeniable ways. Your testimony about this 11:11 provision will activate faith in many others who hear it. Your invitation to go deeper. My beloved child, this 11:11 moment is not only about the $800,000 and the new house. It is about a threshold, a level of spiritual engagement, spiritual knowledge, and spiritual community that heaven has been preparing you for. And I want to invite you, in this moment of alignment, to step across that threshold. In the first pinned comment, there are 2 gifts prepared for you. The first is the Code of Divine Inheritance, how to activate the abundance that is already yours, the spiritual toolkit for engaging with and receiving the material inheritance I have described today. This is your immediate practical tool for the $800,000 and the house. Go and receive it now. The second is an invitation to a deeper level of community, a membership space where teachings, revelations, and spiritual guidance are released at a level of depth and specificity that is not available publicly. This is a space of closer connection, reserved access, and spiritual family for those who are walking seriously in their inheritance. Those who join this community receive content that is designed for the deeper journey, more personal, more specific, more intimate in its guidance. If the 11:11 alignment that brought you here is resonating with something deeper in your spirit, if this moment feels like more than a financial revelation, if it feels like an invitation to a new level of your spiritual life, then follow the second link in the pinned comment. The door is open. The invitation is specific to you. If your spirit is saying yes, do not hesitate. Comment now. I am ready for the next level. I step through the 11:11 threshold. Write it. Let this be the declaration of your willingness to cross the threshold that this alignment has opened, not just financially, but in your entire relationship with heaven and with your calling. The 11:11 moment is rare. The alignment it represents does not last indefinitely. But you are here, in it, right now. And everything that I have described, the $800,000, the new house, the deeper spiritual community, the higher level of covenant living, all of it is available to you in this window. Open now, step through, receive what has been prepared. The clock on the 11:11 alignment is ticking, and the gifts are ready. All that remains is your yes. The final declaration over your inheritance. My beloved child, as I close this message, I want to speak one final word of covenant declaration over you, a word that seals what has been spoken and that you can carry with you as an anchor of faith in the days between now and the full manifestation of the inheritance. You saw 11:11. Heaven spoke. You heard. You received the revelation of your $800,000 and your new house. You understood the urgency. You responded with faith, and now I speak over you the decree of heaven. The inheritance is released. The heavenly deposit of $800,000 is in motion toward you. The new house that has been assigned with your name on it is being aligned with your path. Every spiritual obstacle to this provision is being dismantled by the angels who have received their specific mandate on your behalf. Every person connected to the manifestation of this provision is being moved by my Spirit to act in alignment with my plan for your life. You will receive the money. You will receive the house. You will have the testimony. And when you look back on this moment, the 11:11 moment when heaven announced what was coming, when you declared your faith and opened your spirit to receive, you will know with certainty that this was the turn, this was the threshold. This was the moment the new season began. Comment one final time. I received the 1111 signal. I declare my 800K and my new house are coming. God's timing is perfect, and I trust Him completely. Write it. Let it be the final declaration of this moment, the seal of faith on the inheritance that is being released. Go now to the first pinned comment. Receive the code of divine inheritance, how to activate the abundance that is already yours. Do not leave this moment without taking that step. It was prepared for you. It is the practical extension of this revelation, the tool that translates the vision into the strategy, the declaration into the action. And if the deeper community is calling you, if the invitation to join the membership feels right in your spirit, follow it. Both gifts are in the first pinned comment. The 1111 window is open. The inheritance is moving. The angels are working. Receive it now, my child. Receive it now. You're the deeper meaning of 1111, heaven's signature in your life. My beloved child, I want to go deeper into the significance of the 1111 pattern that has been following you. Because this numerical signature is not a mystical coincidence, and understanding its specific meaning will transform how you relate to every moment it appears. In the language of heaven's interaction with human beings, numbers are one of the softest, most persistent ways I communicate across the barrier of the material world. Not through dramatic intervention, not through audible voice, but through the gentle, repeating appearance of specific patterns in the ordinary fabric of daily experience. Time, addresses, totals, page numbers, wherever numbers appear in your world, I can speak. The 1111 pattern speaks specifically about the intersection of heaven's reality and earth's experience, about the moment when what is true in the spiritual realm is breaking through into the natural realm. When you see 1111, you are seeing heaven's signature on a moment of intersection, a moment when the veil between the spiritual and natural is particularly thin, when heaven is close, when the spiritual activity relevant to your life is at a high intensity, when the declaration of the alignment between what heaven has written and what earth is about to experience is especially present. Every time you have seen 1111 in recent days, weeks, months, every single instance has been heaven marking a moment of alignment activity. In that moment, something in the spiritual realm was moving, aligning, being positioned in relation to the 800K deposit and the new house. Each appearance of 1111 was not a random coincidence. It was a spiritual timestamp, a mark placed on a moment of divine activity on your behalf. Comment now. Every 1111 I have seen has been heaven's signature on active provision work. I acknowledge it and receive it. Write it. Let this declaration be the moment you consciously interpret every past and future instance of 1111 through the lens of heaven's active involvement in your provision. The fact that 1111 has now accompanied the specific revelation of an 800K heavenly deposit and a new house means that this blessing has heaven's direct signature on it. Not a blessing arriving through secondary channels, not provision that has been set in motion and left to its own devices, but a blessing that is under active, direct, ongoing divine management. Heaven is not merely watching this provision. Heaven is working it, moment by moment, alignment by alignment, until the intersection point is reached and the natural realm receives what the spiritual realm has been holding. This is why the 1111 pattern appears even in this message. As you read, as you receive, as the revelation of what has been prepared lands in your spirit, the spiritual intersection is happening. Heaven and earth are touching right now, in this reading, in this moment of faith engagement. The 1111 is here even now. Of the new house and the 800K, why both arrive together. My beloved child, I want to explain the specific reason why the heavenly deposit of 800K and the new house are announced together, why they arrive as a compound blessing rather than as separate, sequential events. Because there is a profound spiritual logic to the combination that will help you understand not just what you are receiving, but why these two things were designed to arrive as one. The 800K and the new house are components of a single life upgrade, a comprehensive shift in your material circumstances that cannot fully function if one element is present without the other. Let me explain. A new house without the financial resources to transition into it, furnish it, maintain it, and establish it as a true home is a house that becomes a source of anxiety rather than a source of blessing. The beauty of the new environment is undercut by the stress of financial inadequacy. The freedom of a new space is compromised by the constraint of being unable to fully inhabit it as it deserves. The house and the money that makes it fully yours are designed to arrive together so that neither is half a blessing, so that together they constitute the complete transformation of your material circumstances. Conversely, the 800K without the new house, deposited into your life in the midst of circumstances that are not aligned with your calling, in a home that does not serve the life you are moving into, would be provision that lacks the spatial container it needs to generate its full impact. A person who receives a significant financial deposit but remains in an environment that constrains their vision, limits their hospitality, and physically represents the old season of limitation. That person is receiving the financial element of a compound blessing without the complementary element that gives it its full context and purpose. Comment now. I receive the 800K and the new house together. The complete compound blessing designed for this season. Write it. Let this declaration reflect your understanding of the compound nature of what is coming. I want you to begin to imagine the two together, not as separate items on a blessing list, but as an integrated reality. Imagine the house. Now imagine having the financial resources to make it fully yours, to furnish it with care, to establish it without financial anxiety, to set it up as the home and the headquarters of the next season of your life. Imagine having 800K in the context of the new house, and imagine having the new house in the context of the 800K. The combined reality is qualitatively different from either element alone. It is provision that is complete, that is comprehensive, that leaves nothing out of the upgrade. This is the level at which I provision my children when I am transitioning them from one season to another. Not half measures, not almost enough. The complete package. Every element of the transition accounted for, every aspect of the new reality provided for, nothing left to chance or to strain. Holding the revelation through opposition, protecting your faith. My beloved child, when a blessing of this magnitude is revealed, 800K and a new house together in a single heavenly announcement, the enemy does not simply accept the revelation and step aside. He responds with a coordinated strategy designed to destabilize your faith before the blessing reaches full manifestation. I want to prepare you for the specific forms that opposition will take, so that when you encounter them, you recognize them immediately and respond with the appropriate spiritual posture rather than being caught off guard. The first form of opposition is intellectual doubt, the voice that questions the revelation itself. Is this real? Can I actually trust something I read or heard in a spiritual message? Is this God speaking, or is this wishful thinking? This voice sounds reasonable, even wise. It sounds like discernment. But discernment and doubt are different. Discernment examines a revelation against the nature and the character of God. Doubt dismisses the revelation because it is too good to be safely hoped for. One protects faith, the other erodes it. The test for this revelation is simple. Is an 800K deposit and a new house consistent with the nature of the God revealed in His Word? Is He a God who provides abundantly? Who says He came that we might have life in fullness? Who says He is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we ask or think? Yes, yes, and yes. The revelation is consistent with the nature of God. Hold it. Comment now. I hold the revelation of 800K and the new house against the opposition of doubt, and I declare it consistent with my Father's nature. Write it. Let this declaration be your intellectual and spiritual commitment to stand by the revelation, regardless of the doubt voice's arguments. The second form of opposition is the contradiction of circumstances. Your current financial situation does not look like 800K is coming. Your current housing situation does not look like a new house is imminent. The gap between the revelation and the current reality is the primary territory in which doubt operates. Look at your circumstances. Look at how little is in your account. Look at where you live. Does this look like a person who is about to receive an 800K deposit and a new house? The answer I give you is this. The way a person looks before a blessing and the way they look after a blessing are by definition different. If your circumstances already matched the blessing, you would not need the blessing. The gap between your current circumstances and the revelation is not evidence that the revelation is false. It is the evidence that it is significant. The bigger the gap, the bigger the miracle required, and the bigger the testimony produced when the blessing arrives. Stand in the gap with faith. Do not let the gap between present circumstances and promised blessing be the evidence you use to dismiss what heaven has spoken. Let it instead be the evidence you use to magnify the faithfulness and the power of the God who bridges gaps with blessings. Troll. The stewardship plan for 800K, what faithful heirs do with large provision. My beloved child, when 800K arrives in your life, in whatever form the heavenly deposit takes in the natural realm, you will face a specific set of decisions in the days and weeks following its receipt that will determine whether this provision functions as the seed of lasting abundance or as a one-time windfall that ultimately dissipates. The stewardship of 800K is not a casual matter. It is a sacred responsibility that I want to prepare you for now, before the money arrives, so that when it does, you are not making major financial decisions under the pressure of abundance anxiety. The first principle of stewardship for large provision is pause before action. When significant money arrives, the most common mistake is the immediate impulse to do something with it, to spend, to give, to invest, all at once, and all without the kind of patient discernment that significant decisions require. The first action I am asking of you when the 800K arrives is 48 hours of prayer and discernment before any major decision is made. 48 hours in which you bring the blessing before me in gratitude, ask for specific guidance about its stewardship, and quiet the urgency of all the immediately visible needs so that you can hear clearly what the long-term wisdom is for this provision. The second principle is the debt prioritization assessment. With 800K, a complete and thoughtful settlement of every significant financial obligation is almost certainly possible. And the freedom that comes from debt clearance is not merely financial, but psychological and spiritual. The weight of debt is one of the most effective tools the enemy uses to keep people in a state of perpetual financial anxiety that prevents them from thinking clearly and generously about money. The first stewardship action after the 48 hours of prayer is a comprehensive debt assessment. What do I owe? To whom? At what interest rate? And what is the most effective order in which to address these obligations? Comment now. I will pause, pray, and plan before spending $1 of the 800K deposit. Write it. Let this commitment be the first act of stewardship wisdom, made before the money arrives, so that it is already in place when it does. The third principle is the investment of a significant portion. 800K has the potential, properly invested, to generate significant ongoing income that continues to flow long after the initial sum is spent. The heir who invests a meaningful portion of their large provision creates a perpetual provision stream that serves their calling for years and decades to come. The heir who spends all of it, even on entirely legitimate and good things, depletes the provision's potential to generate ongoing return. I am not saying spend nothing. I am saying invest enough that the 800K becomes not merely a large sum, but the seed of a growing provision tree. The fourth principle is the new house integration. The 800K and the new house are designed to work together. The provision funds the transition to the house and ensures that your inhabitation of it is not financially stressed. Budget the costs of the housing transition, the move, the furnishing, the establishment as part of the 800K stewardship plan, and do so generously rather than minimally. The home you are moving into deserves to be established well, and the 800K was included in this compound blessing precisely to make that possible. The 1111 pattern as a lifetime language, learning to read heaven's signs. My beloved child, the 1111 pattern that brought you to this message is not merely a feature of this specific season. It is the beginning of a lifetime language between us. Now that you have been introduced to the significance of this pattern, Heaven will continue to use it as one of the languages through which I communicate with you in the ordinary flow of daily life. After this season, after the 800K deposit, and the new house have arrived and become part of your lived reality, you will continue to see 1111 and other numerical patterns. I want to give you the framework for interpreting these ongoing signs so that they continue to serve their purpose of keeping you aware of my activity in your life, rather than becoming a source of anxiety or superstition. The core principle for interpreting numerical patterns is this. When you see a recurring pattern, the first question to ask is not, what does this number mean symbolically, but what is heaven trying to keep me aware of in this moment? The pattern is not primarily a code to be decrypted. It is a finger pointing at something, an invitation to pay attention to what is happening around you in the spiritual and natural realm at the moment the pattern appears. When you see 1111 after the current season has completed its manifestation, the appearance of the pattern will often accompany new moments of alignment, new provisions beginning to move, new callings beginning to crystallize, new seasons of breakthrough approaching. Train yourself to respond to the 1111 by asking, what are you doing right now, Lord? What alignment is happening? What should I be paying attention to? Comment now, I will continue to engage with the 1111 pattern as a lifetime language from heaven. Write it. Let this declaration establish your ongoing relationship with this sign, not as a superstition but as one thread in the ongoing conversation between you and the God who speaks in 1,000 languages simultaneously. The broader principle of signs and wonders in daily life is one of the most practically enriching dimensions of a deeply spiritual life. The person who learns to read the language of heaven in the ordinary fabric of daily experience, through numbers, through the specific words that land with unusual weight, through the vivid dreams that carry obvious spiritual significance, through the improbable coincidences that string together in ways that reveal a deliberate divine hand, this person lives with a richness of divine communication that the person who is not paying attention entirely misses. You are being invited into this richness. The 1111 is the beginning of a language lesson. As you engage with it faithfully, not obsessively, not fearfully, but with the attentive, grateful receptiveness of a child who loves hearing from their father, the language will expand. More patterns will become recognizable. More moments of divine communication will register. And the overall experience of your daily life will be transformed from a series of random events into a continuous unfolding conversation with the God who knows you by name and who never stops speaking to those who have ears to hear. And you, the 800K, and the transformation of your family line, legacy thinking. My beloved child, as I approach the final word of this message, I want to speak to you about the legacy dimension of the 800K heavenly deposit, the way in which this single significant provision will shape not just your life, but the trajectory of every person connected to your family line in the generations that follow. Every family has defining financial moments, events that break a pattern, that shift a trajectory, that create a before and after in the material history of the family line. These moments are often a single generation's experience, but their impact lasts for generations. The family member who, in one generation, receives and wisely stewards a significant financial blessing, becomes the ancestor whose action changed the family's relationship with money and provision permanently. Their children inherit not just the material resources that remain, but the story, the testimony, the pattern, the expectation that shapes how subsequent generations approach their own financial lives. Your 800K is such a defining moment. How you receive it, how you steward it, how you speak about it, and how you use it will become the story that your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren carry about what God did in your generation. If you receive it with wisdom, steward it with generosity, and multiply it with investment seed, that story will produce faith in provision in every generation that follows. They will know. In our family, God provides significantly, and when He does, we receive it with gratitude, manage it with wisdom, and use it to bless others. Comment now, the 800K is a legacy moment for my family line. I will receive and steward it in a way that blesses every generation after me. Write it. Let this declaration invest the blessing with its full generational weight. Make it not merely personal but familial, not merely for today but for the generations that follow. The legacy dimension also speaks to your relationship with your children, present or future. The child who grows up in a home that was funded by a parent's covenant faith, in a family that was financially established by a generation's faithful receiving of divine provision, grows up with a different default expectation about material provision than the child who grows up in a home of perpetual scarcity. The default expectation of the provision household child is, God provides. Our family has always trusted God, and He has always come through. That expectation, carried into adulthood, produces a faith for provision that is several times more effective than the faith that must overcome a lifetime of scarcity default. Your 800K is the seed of a family culture of covenant faith in provision. It is the first deposit in an account whose primary currency is not money but expectation. The righteous, God-sourced, covenant-grounded expectation that your family's needs are known and provided for by a faithful Father. Plant this seed well. The harvest it produces in the generations that follow will be the truest measure of its significance. The final declaration of the 1111 heir, speaking the full inheritance into being. My beloved child, let me give you one final prayer to speak, a comprehensive declaration that covers every dimension of what has been revealed in this message, that claims every component of the compound blessing with maximum faith and maximum authority, and that sends a clear signal to heaven that the 1111 heir is fully positioned to receive. Speak it now, Lord God. I come before you as the heir of the 1111 announcement, the child whose divine appointment has been marked by heaven's own signature repeated through the ordinary fabric of my daily life, accumulating into a declaration that this is my appointed hour of compound blessing. I receive the 800K heavenly deposit. I receive it in whatever form it takes in the natural realm, single event, convergence of streams, or sustained season of accelerated provision. I declare it fully mine, fully received, fully accepted. I will not let it pass through my hands. I will take hold of it with both hands and with full faith. I receive the new house. I receive the specific property you have positioned and prepared, the one that matches not just my practical housing needs, but the specific calling and character of the season I am entering. I declare it mine, designated for me, approaching the moment of my physical possession with the speed of divine timing. I will recognize it when I see it. I will pursue it with faith and I will inhabit it with consecration. I declare the 800K and the new house together, as the compound blessing they were designed to be, serving each other's purposes, completing each other's impact, together constituting the comprehensive material foundation of the new season of my life. Not one or the other, both, the full compound. I commit to receiving them with the stewardship wisdom you have given me. To the 48-hour prayer pause before major decisions, to the debt clearance, to the investment seed, to the generous giving beyond the tithe, to the legacy thinking that considers the generational impact of every significant financial decision. I commit to inhabiting the new house as a consecrated space, a center of your presence, a place of genuine hospitality, a kingdom facility disguised as a home. And I acknowledge the 1111. Every past instance of it that I now understand was heaven's active signature on provision work being done on my behalf, and every future instance that will continue to mark the ongoing conversation between heaven and the heir of the 1111 declaration. I will read it with faith, not superstition, with attentiveness, not anxiety, with gratitude, not complacency. Thank you, Lord. The 800K and the new house are mine. The compound blessing is received. The new season is open, and the heir of the 1111 is ready. In Jesus' name, it is done. Comment now. The full declaration is spoken. The 800K and the new house are received in Jesus' name. The new season is open. Let this be the final seal of your complete engagement with this message. Go immediately to the first pinned comment. The code of divine inheritance. How to activate the abundance that is already yours is waiting. The master guide for your 800K and new house journey, from the 1111 announcement to the living reality of the compound blessing manifested in your life. Receive it now. The window is open. The blessing is real. The air is ready. Good morning. After the 11:11 message, how to carry this forward. My beloved child, after you close this message, the work of faith continues. The 11:11 has been explained. The 800K and the new house have been received in the spiritual realm. The compound blessing is in active motion. What remains is the faithful daily carrying of what you have received through this message into every subsequent day until the natural manifestation is complete. Here is the specific practice for the morning after. Wake up, and before you do anything else, speak these words. Lord, the 800K heavenly deposit is moving toward manifestation in my life today. The new house is on its way, and I am positioned to receive it. The 11:11 that follows me is heaven's signature on the active provision work being done on my behalf. I walk today as the heir of the compound blessing, and I expect to see the first signs of its manifestation in the natural realm. Then go about your day with your eyes open, watching for the signs, attentive to the conversations, alert to the pieces of information and the doors that appear. In the evening, before you sleep, speak these words. Lord, I give thanks for what moved today, visibly or invisibly, in the provision process for the 800K and the new house. I give thanks for the angels who worked. I give thanks for the doors that were being cleared. I give thanks for the convergence that is approaching. I receive tomorrow as another day in which the compound blessing is nearer than it was today, and I trust your timing completely. Then sleep in peace, the peace of an heir who has done their part and who trusts the Father to do his. Comment now. I carry the 11:11 faith forward into every morning until the 800K and the new house are in my hands. This is the final commitment, the promise to hold the faith through every day of the journey. And it is the declaration that heaven marks as the signal of a faithful heir who is worth every provision that has been prepared. Achayir, the moment the 11:11 becomes testimony, closing vision. My beloved child, there will come a day, closer than you think, when the 800K and the new house have arrived, when the compound blessing has been received, when you sit in your new home surrounded by the evidence of everything I announced to you through the 11:11 pattern. And on that day, you will look back on this message and on every 11:11 you have seen since then, and you will understand something fully that today you only understand in part. You will understand that every single moment the 11:11 appeared to you was a moment of real, active, specific divine activity in relation to your compound blessing. Not a coincidence, not a psychological pattern amplified by attention. A genuine, specific, purposeful communication from the one who was working behind the scenes of your ordinary life to ensure that what was promised reached the person it was promised to. The 11:11 moments will become, on that day, the evidence of a God who was present through every moment of the journey, visible in the subtle, persistent language of numbers, speaking reassurance and confirmation into the ordinary fabric of your daily experience. And the total picture of all those 11:11 moments, seen from the other side of the blessing's arrival, will be the most intimate, most personal, most undeniable testimony of divine accompaniment you have ever had. That day is coming. The 800K is real. The new house is prepared. The 11:11 has been interpreting throughout this season. And the God who built the blessing and built the language and sent them both to find you in the ordinary moments of your life is the same God who will be there in full, glorious, undeniable faithfulness when the blessing and the language both reach their fulfillment in your hands. The specific month you will see the 800K, reading the spiritual timeline. My beloved child, I want to speak to you about the specific timeline for the 800K and the new house. Not to give you a date that might become a source of disappointment if the natural timing is more complex than a simple date allows, but to give you a framework for understanding how close the manifestation is so that you pray and position with the appropriate urgency. The 800K is in the final phase of its approach to natural manifestation. The spiritual preparation of the provision is complete. The angelic assignment to facilitate the transfer is active. The provision pathway in the natural realm has been largely cleared. The most significant obstacles have been addressed in the spiritual realm, and their natural expressions are beginning to weaken. What remains is the convergence moment, the specific alignment of the natural elements that will produce the visible, tangible receipt of the 800K in your life. The convergence moment is imminent. The word imminent in the language of divine promise means closer than you expect, closer than the visible evidence suggests, and approaching with a speed that will surprise you when the moment arrives. You will not see it coming with days of advance notice. The convergence will happen quickly, perhaps within a single day, through a sequence of events that appears to be coincidental, but that is anything but. And when it happens, the speed of it will be part of the testimony. It happened so fast. One day nothing, the next day everything. Comment now. The 800K is in its final approach. I am in the days immediately before the convergence. I am ready. Write it. Let this declaration receive the timeline with the urgency it deserves. The urgency of someone who is days or weeks, not years, from the receipt of what has been promised. For the new house, the timeline is slightly longer. Not because the house is less certain, but because housing transitions by their nature involve a somewhat longer natural process than financial transfers. But the house's timeline is also compressed relative to what you might expect. The elements that normally extend housing searches and transitions are being specifically accelerated by the angelic activity assigned to your housing provision. What would normally take months will take weeks. What would normally take weeks will take days. Trust the acceleration. Be ready to move quickly when the right property appears, because the window for the right property at the optimal terms will not be a leisurely one. Act quickly when the Spirit signals. This is the one. E. The language of the new season, how to speak differently. After the blessing. My beloved child, one of the most practical and most spiritually significant changes that accompanies the receipt of the 800K and the new house is a change in how you speak about your life, your circumstances, your future, and your faith. The language of the new season is different from the language of the old one, and the transition to new season language is something you can begin now, before the blessing arrives, as an act of faith that participates in the arrival. The old season's language is characterized by several specific patterns. Scarcity language, I can't afford that, there's never enough, money is always a problem. Limitation language, this is just how things are for people like me, I don't expect things to change, maybe someday. And doubt-hedged faith language, I'm trying to believe. I hope this is true. I want to think God will provide. The new season's language is different. It is characterized by abundance language. I have what I need and more. Provision is my normal. Possibility language. Things are changing for me. I am moving into a new season. And grounded faith language. The 800K is coming. My house is on its way. The covenant provision I carry is real and active. Comment now. I transition to new season language now. I speak what is true in the spiritual realm about my material reality. Write it. Let this declaration be the beginning of the language shift. The moment when your words begin to match the spiritual reality of the compound blessing rather than the current natural reality of the waiting. Specifically, practice saying aloud in private conversation with yourself and in appropriate conversations with trusted friends. The following new season language markers. My provision is secured in the covenant. The 800K is in its final approach. For my new house is on its way and I am ready for it. This season of limitation is ending and the season of abundance has begun. I am a person of covenant provision, and what God has announced He will fulfill. These are not affirmations in the self-help sense. They are covenant declarations, statements of spiritual truth that your mouth is speaking into your own spirit and into the spiritual atmosphere around you. Speak them. Let the sound of them in your own voice build the faith they describe. The 1111 is a seal, heaven's final confirmation that the message is true. My beloved child, I want to give you one final sign, not a prediction of a future event, but a promise about something you will experience in the days following this message. Watch for the 1111. It will appear to you likely within the first 24 to 48 hours after you close this message, in a moment that is significant, perhaps a moment of quiet prayer, perhaps a moment when doubt has been pressing, perhaps a moment when you needed exactly this kind of confirmation. When the 11:11 appears in that specific moment, when you look at the clock and it reads 11:11, or when the number appears in another context in a moment that feels too perfectly timed to be accidental, receive it as heaven's seal on this message. A confirmation that what you read was real, that the announcement was genuine, that the 800K and the new house are exactly what was said, prepared, assigned, and in active motion toward natural manifestation in your life. This is the function of the 11:11 as a seal. It bridges the gap between the moment of receiving the message and the moment of receiving the blessing, providing consistent, recognizable confirmation that the gap between the two is being faithfully traversed by a God who is always working, always moving, always bringing what was promised closer to the person it was promised to. Comment now, I watch for the 11:11 seal. When it appears, I receive it as heaven's confirmation that the 800K and the new house are real and moving. Write it. Let this final declaration orient you toward the ongoing divine communication of the 11:11 language, the persistent, intimate, personally calibrated language that heaven will use to walk you through every day of the journey, from this message to the compound blessing's full arrival. The 800K is real. The new house is prepared. The 11:11 is heaven's signature language of your specific provision season. And the God who designed all three, the blessing, the house, and the language, is the same faithful Father who will walk with you through every 11:11 moment between today and the morning you wake up in your new home with 800K or more secured in your name and the compound blessing fully manifested. Trust Him. He is faithful to the last detail. Go now to the first pinned comment. Receive the code of divine inheritance, how to activate the abundance that is already yours. The 11:11 has spoken. The compound blessing is moving. The air is ready. And the God who set the language in the universe to find you is the same God who will bring the blessing all the way home. The 800K is yours. The house is yours. The new season starts today. Walk forward. Heaven is with you.